Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. It is March 28th, 2022. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of achieving a healthy weight. If you do enjoy my videos, make sure you like the video. Also, click on the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get alerted when I go live or upload new videos. If you'd like to join in on the discussion, you can join me on my live streams, which is usually at 4 p.m. on weekdays. If you don't want to join the live stream, you can reach out to me through our Discord channel that we created. There's a link to that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below, there is a link to a Pinterest board. That Pinterest board is where we have a lot of the meals that we've been enjoying on our diet posted there. So if you're looking for ideas for food or what we're eating, the best place to see that is on the Pinterest board. Today is day 513 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 200 pounds, over 210 pounds at this point. I have 90 pounds to go, and things have been going really awesome so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear about those as well. How are you guys doing on your diets? Are you having struggles getting started? What's keeping you from getting started? What are you doing to make going on a diet easier than staying off of the diet? I'm gonna go ahead get going today. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It was ridiculously cold here. The sun was shining and it was beautiful outside yesterday, especially, but it was freezing cold. Not what we were hoping for. That was pretty disappointing for it to be so cold. It was down like to freezing temperatures almost where I'm at or very close. So while it would have been fun to get out this weekend, we did not end up getting out a whole lot this weekend. Kind of stayed in the house for the most part. This weekend, as far as food goes, I feel like every time I get on Monday, I just feel like I had eaten a ton of food. And I did probably eat a ton of food this weekend, but got on the scale this morning and I'm really not anywhere different than I'm normally at come Monday. I was especially worried because my weigh-in was late last week. I weighed in on Thursday instead of Wednesday. I don't know that I'll be able to pull off another 2 pound loss this week with only being 6 days. But I think with where I'm at, I'm going to lose weight, considering it was 308.2. So um, I have to just make sure I don't go crazy with the food for the next couple days. And I think I'll get down under that 308.2. I'd love to see 306, but we'll see how that goes when we get to it. I'm trying to see if I took any photos of my food this weekend, and it really doesn't look like I took too many photos of the food this weekend. I believe that we had for dinner on Friday, we had brown rice noodles with marinara sauce, which is pretty simple dinner. It's not anything too crazy. And then I'm pretty sure I had that for lunch on, no, I guess it would have been Saturday we had that for dinner. And then I had that for lunch on Sunday. Um, and then Carrie made a awesome dinner last night. It was I guess it wasn't the best thing we've had. I liked it. Carrie wasn't a huge fan of it. I'll try to pull a photo of it up here. It's not the prettiest thing, but and I don't know if she's going to be on here or not today to tell me what it was, but I will bug her about it later. Um, so let me pull this up. So this is really the only photo I took. We're showing of the food that we ate this weekend. I think it's going to be this. Oh, there we go. That should This is what we had yesterday for dinner. There's a big pile of mashed potatoes underneath that. There is a lot of carrots, some corn, lots of mushrooms, and some sort of sauce that Carrie made. It was supposed to be like a bolognese. Is that the right word? I'm not sure, but that was dinner last night, and I liked it a lot. It was definitely every now and then we have a meal that when we're eating it, we just kind of both look at each other and are like, yeah, this could use salt. Like it's definitely you get that taste where it just you know that if it was salted, that it would change the flavor and make it, a little bit more enjoyable, I guess. But at the same token, if it ends up being more enjoyable because we added the salt, then we would end up eating more of it, regardless of whether or not we were full. And so, not having the salt on it, it doesn't bother me, because there's books and there's always the quotes. You have to start to live to eat instead of, or eat to live instead of living to eat. And that's really the way I feel like with the diet that I'm eating right now, that the food that I'm putting in my body is just nutrients, just calories. Um, and I don't have to derive joy or pleasure from my food like I used to. And when every meal I used to eat would have been gourmet, or it would have been a delicacy to huge portions of the world now, but historically, it's foods that never would have existed, or never it would have been extremely uh high calorie for what would have been our diet, what would have been around, like the things that we buy at the grocery store, even though it says it's a loaf of bread, that is not the same loaf of bread that you would have been eating 150 or 200 years ago. And so for me, the food doesn't have to be exciting as long as it's satisfying and it's filling and it's not anything that, makes you want to gag or not eat it, But that meal we had last night, I enjoyed it. The mushrooms are really tough to kind of gauge the exact perfect cooking point for mushrooms sometimes, but um like I said, I really enjoyed the dinner last night, and that was just one of the many things I ate over the weekend. Like I said, we had the brown rice noodles with the marinara sauce. I had a lot of Ezekiel bread with nut butter on it this weekend. The one thing I planned on having this weekend, I didn't end up having at all, was some almond milk with shredded wheat and raisins. I just never ended up getting to that point and eating that. Lots of little oranges, cherry juice, and we had our spinach oatmeal for breakfast one morning, and then this morning we changed it up a little bit again and just had our regular, what I call our regular oatmeal, which is with bananas and apples, made with apple juice and steel cut oats, things like that. So um again, I felt like I ate a ton, but the scale didn't go way up, and it's weird for that to happen. I was talking to a friend of mine today who he was kind of complaining that he had put on like 20 pounds in the last month because he wasn't paying attention to what he was eating anymore. And he's lost a lot of weight over the last couple years, and he'd been very focused, and he just kind of let it slide for a little while and has put on 15 or 20 pounds back of the 100 that he lost. And he's talking about having to get back into gear and working out again and watching what he eats again like he was before. And um, it's difficult, it's really difficult to let yourself slide and then get back on track. And normally, or that it has been that way for me historically, I guess. But I feel like this time I don't have any difficulty getting back on track. I've never had difficulty not staying close to on track. I've said it many times. The few things that I have eaten throughout the last 6 months, or I guess during that 6 month period after I had my arm surgery, 99% of the population would have, if I would have said I had a cheat meal of a something that had salt in it, or I guess like trying to think of something that's not too processed but somewhat processed that we had, because obviously the vegan pizzas, the Burger King burgers, the Impossible nuggets, those really aren't health foods. There's nothing healthy about them. But like we went to a restaurant near us and I got this squash meal that had pumpkin seeds and squash and all this vegetables on it. But it was probably cooked in oil. It had been seasoned with salt. If I showed somebody that image of that meal, they would not have said that that was really a cheat meal because it wasn't like a super high calorie thing and it wasn't junk food. Whereas before, when I used to have the diet was fairly restrictive, I guess, many times when I dieted before, but I would end up having cheat meals of, bags of chips or meals out like at McDonald's or something like that. And those cheat meals are really hard to come back from. I've seen a lot of people talk about that meat tastes better, and it can taste better. It causes a response in your brain to that it tastes the taste is better, but it's usually because we're adding so much salt, oil, and sugar to the meat. Like, I don't think that there's very many people out there that eat just meat with no seasoning, no flavoring, just throw it on the grill and eat the meat right off the grill. A lot of times we add all these flavors to them so that we get this intense flavor and this intense response from the food that we're eating. And um, it's hard to come back from that. It's sort of like a drug addict or somebody who's addicted to alcohol, things like that, where there may be uh there may be some that you could have or something that's close to what you used to have, but if you have another drink or like with like a hard drug or something like cocaine, if you're addicted to cocaine, going back and having cocaine one time isn't necessarily a viable option for somebody because once their body gets a hold of that drug, then it's going to try to convince that person to keep going after that drug. And if you can't remove it from your environment, then it makes it tough to stay away from it. And that's something that we've done with our food is that our environment at home is free of a lot of junk food. It's tough because we have kids that we're feeding, and it's kind of that's something I've been able to do is create this mental barrier between what is my food or what's I can eat and what the kids' food is. Uh, but if I couldn't create that mental barrier, then I would have to find a way to remove that junk food that we allow the kids to have from my view or my access, and but I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here. But the yeah, it's just been crazy that this diet is such a volume focused diet. And I get to eat huge volumes of food. And if I didn't get to eat the huge volumes of food, I think that that would be the other thing that would cause me a ton of issues is that if I was starving myself or sitting at a huge calorie deficit every day, that those snacks that are in the cupboard would be more tempting than they are. But because you know, we might have veggie straws for the kids or some sort of chip for the kids in the cupboard, like tortilla chips. I've talked about that being one of the only foods that I see in the house that really triggers my wanting to veer off the diet is the tortilla chips. And um, if I didn't have a rack of bananas and oranges and shredded wheat and Ezekiel bread and things that I would I can eat as opposed to those tortilla chips. Like if it was just the tortilla chips or nothing, then I would have succumbed to the tortilla chips many times throughout the past year and a half. But because we fill our cupboards with lots of food and we have lots of food in the fridge to eat that's on our diet, I never get put in a position where it's either this junk food or nothing. And that's a huge part of what I feel like the success of our diet is that I always have an or something. And when I haven't had that or something, it's not something that everybody falls back on or has in their, what I would say, back pocket. But the fasting is something where as long as I can tell myself when my next meal is going to be or what my next meal is going to be, then I can go a few hours without eating. I don't have to just eat junk now because I think I'm going to die if I don't eat now. Nobody is close to starvation. Really, like you might be hungry, you might have cravings, but actually being close to starvation is not something that I would say many people are at that point. I was gonna show a thing here today just because I think I shared it on YouTube too, but I created a TikTok channel. So if anybody wants to follow me on TikTok, oh my gosh, everything's so loud. Everything's I have a TikTok I created, and I should have put a link. I don't know if I can link the TikTok down below or not, but I had put up a TikTok video, and like I said, I think I shared it as a short on have it not show, but let me see if I can pull this up if it'll play. You know, it's not going to play the audio though, I think, because of the way I have the devices set up here. So we'll try it. Anyways, I don't know if I said it, but my TikTok's name is diet_vegan. So if you want to follow me on TikTok, or if you're into the TikTok thing, that would be the best place to find me there. The audio on this is not going to play. You know, I should have thought of this more before I did. I think I can play. So just watch me do stuff, guys. Sorry, I talking. I think it was a short that I did. Yeah, it was. Got it. That is the right spot. Okay. So let me see if I can have any more difficult. This, we're going to switch over to, I got to get this. I'm going to at least change over this screen so I can see what I'm seeing.
January, February, March, April. In this song, I'm going to teach you the 12 months of the year. Are you ready? Here we go. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. These are the 12 months of the year.
So that was a lot for me to go back. Anyways, follow me on TikTok. It's diet_vegan. I just moved whatever was behind my screen. And dollar count. All right. So follow me on TikTok, like the video and all that fun stuff. To talk about accountability a little bit this today, and just in that the accountability is tough, like, because you try to hold yourself accountable, but you can only hold yourself accountable for so long. And you start, you're mentally constantly arguing with yourself or trying to find ways to get out of being on your diet. And so, the next place to go for accountability generally is your family or the people that are close to you. And that works again for a while. And if they are doing well, or if they're doing it with you, it really helps out. So if you can get somebody to kind of join you as you try to lose weight, that absolutely will help with the accountability. But again, it only lasts for so long, because those people that love you, like your family, will maybe call you out on your BS the first time that they see you cheating on your diet or going off plan or doing things like that. And they may, the first a couple times, but then over time, if they see that them making comments isn't actually deterring you from doing that, then you need to, then they're going to stop doing it, because they don't want to be nagging to you. Like, for some people, I guess there's going to be some people that will be nagging to you, but they were probably nagging you about stuff before you started your diet. Anyways, they're only going to bug you about it so many times. They're only going to give you a hard time the first few times. And it's because they love you so much, because they don't want to be sitting there being critical of you all the time. And so, like I said, you can count on them for some accountability, but for long-term accountability, it's really difficult to rely on your family, because it's the, they want to see you succeed, but they want you to be happy too. And they don't want you to stop talking to them. Like, if somebody's bugging you about why you're off your diet, and you talk to them on a daily basis, and every day they bug you about being on your diet, then maybe you talk to them less. You find ways to not see them, because you're like, if I go and run into them, they're just going to give me a hard time about the diet. And it, or that's what you think. And I don't know, but, I feel like finding accountability outside of yourself and outside of your family circle is really important. And that was something that I've done over the years. I've gone to Weight Watchers, and when I lost weight in 2013, my doctor had a specific, like, weight loss meeting group that people would go to. And that those things were awesome, and they were huge motivators. The only downside to those things is that you do have to get up, go to those meetings. And the Weight Watchers meetings that I had success with were always meetings where I was meeting a friend of mine, so that I didn't, I couldn't be like, well, if I don't go, nobody's going to miss me. Whereas if you have friends there, then people are gonna, you're gonna want to go because they are there. Um, but it's just tough, and a big part of that accountability too is to not be uh quiet about it all the time. Like, you don't have to not talk about being on a diet. I guess is part of it too, is that by being open with what you're doing and being really being forward about it too. Like, instead, if somebody asks you why you're not eating at an event, be open about it. And then that creates another form of accountability, because you've now told that person that you're doing this thing. So the next time they see you, they might be, you kind of, you're creating an expectation in people, so that the next time that they see you, you're expecting them to want to know how you're doing on your day. If I told somebody that I was losing weight, and that it was, it was going well. Like if somebody noticed that I had lost weight and made a comment. And so I'm open about everything I'm doing and not to be like, oh, I'm trying something, I'm doing what I can, but being open, be like, well, I've eliminated all animal products. I'm eating a clean diet with no salt, oil, and sugar. Then the next time you run into that person, if you've lost weight, they're going to associate your weight loss with that diet that you said you were on and not just oh, I'm just kind of doing whatever, Um, and you don't want, for me, a big thing that kept me from going out and being public and being in front of people, when I was gaining weight was that when I was at my heaviest, my opinion was that everybody who had seen me before, they're still seeing me as whatever size I was the last time I saw them. So if the last time I saw them, I was 350 pounds, I'm a 350-pound person in that person's mind. And if I run into them at one of my kids' school events or at a high school reunion kind of thing, then, or the grocery store, I've run into lots of people for like the grocery store, then it resets their image in your mind of what you look like. And so if you're open about what you're doing and you telling people what you're doing, then you're creating a form of accountability in that, because the next time I see somebody, I want to be lighter than the last time I saw them. And you want them to kind of have that expectation that the next time they see you, you're going to be lighter. And and that's just one of, there's many things you can do to create accountability. um I've talked about it before. Start an Instagram that's separate from your regular Instagram. Start a TikTok that's separate from your other stuff. Or I created this YouTube channel that really, a lot of people in my personal life don't know that I'm doing this YouTube channel, but I put it out there to create a sense of accountability for myself. And uh so that I feel like if I don't update on how I'm doing, I'm going to be disappointing to I'm going to disappoint people, and I don't want to disappoint anybody, like that's something where I don't want anybody to think negative of me. And I don't think that that's uncommon. You want people to have positive uh feelings about you. So by being open about things, I just think it's and being upfront about it, it just creates this accountability that keeps you going. And when you have those hard times where you have to make that decision between the junk food or the regular food, you can be like, well, hey, I have all these people in this weight loss group that I am, are looking forward to hearing how I'm doing. Or I have people who are following me on these social media platforms that want to see me succeed and want to know how I'm doing. Um, and again, it doesn't have to be, I'm in front of the world, I guess, but I don't get a ton of views on these videos. But I feel accountable to every one of those views that I get. And for me, part of the reason why I created this challenge and made it a 3-year long challenge was because I wanted to create that accountability for myself and for that time period. But I also wanted to have this out there to be a permanent thing on YouTube or on the internet, so that if somebody doesn't find me until 2 years from now, the things I'm doing now, I feel like I have to be accountable to that person who hasn't even discovered my channel yet, because I don't want them to discover my channel and it be day 510 and then me disappear. I want them to find 510, and then I want them to find day 1095. And so that's my goal with this challenge, is to do that. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else I was going to talk about today. I do have to kind of get going here right at 4:30. Carrie is stranding me tonight and going out on a play date with all of her friends. So I have to go home and be a dad. I don't even know what that's like. On my own, just teasing. I'm going to try not to play. I did have a non-scale victory I wrote down. I didn't even talk about it. And my non-scale victory would be that I played Twister with my kids. It was not an impressive game of Twister. I'm pretty sure I won. I wouldn't ask Carrie. She'd probably say I cheated, but that is doesn't know how to play. She doesn't know the rules. And Twister, I think, is a full contact sport. So, but it was fun to like be able to actually like play the game and have both feet and both hands on the mat in different positions uh and not totally die. And so it was a silly non-scale victory, but it was, I don't know, a victory in itself. I guess the other non-scale victory would be anybody who is Carrie's checking in now. Um the uh uh the non-scale victory. Oh, if anybody played football, um if you were an offensive lineman, you had to get into like a 4 point stance. And that was something that I probably would not have been able to do for like the last 7 to 10 years. And Twister's kind of, it's more complicated than doing a 4 point stance, but like I could get into like a football stance and felt like it was semi athletic and composure, I guess. But um those would be a couple non-scale victories I had. So, anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you actually got through this whole 30 minutes of me rambling today, I truly appreciate that you stuck around for the whole video. I will be back on tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll have more of a topic to go over, or at least it ironed out before I start rambling. Um, but not likely. Not likely. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure that you hit. Carrie says she forgot her phone when running around this afternoon. You missed a riveting half hour, hun. The hit the thumbs up on the video. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon. Get alerted when I go live. If you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. There's nothing coming up. It's more important than getting your health and your well-being under control. There's nobody that reaches their goals and looks back and says, "Man, I wish I would have waited one more weekend. I wish I wouldn't have skipped that party or that the meal at that party. Gosh, I missed out on that wedding dinner because I just had to lose that weight." Everybody gets to their goals. They look back and they say, "Man, I wish I would have started sooner." Don't fall for the myths of moderation. There's two of them. The myth of moderate change, that you can just slowly switch things over time. It seems like it's a good thing, but anything that I've done cold turkey. That's been the way it's worked for me, and this diet is no different. Outside of the misery that you have to go through when you are withdrawing from things like caffeine and sugar and things like that, it's doable, it's survivable. If you are, I will make a caveat, if you are on medication for something, you may want to have a doctor watching what you're doing and not just jump into something. But if you're not on medication for anything, um, even though I probably should have been on medication for something when I started this, who knows? I never went to a doctor, like that's the thing about being super overweight, is you don't like to go to a doctor because all your problems can be solved with losing weight. So why do I need to spend money to have a doctor tell me to lose weight, right? And then the myth of moderate consumption, that just a little bit of something bad is okay, or everything in moderation is okay. It's a trap. It's just holding on. It's just your brain holding on to the memory of the enjoyment of having that in the past. There's if something's gonna, it's like cigarettes, like if they cause a little bit of cancer, if a little bit of smoking only causes a little bit of cancer, is that okay? If eating processed meat is only going to give you a little bit of cancer, is it okay? It's not. So, and then also that the idea that you can eat less food and be happy and be satisfied. You don't have to do that. You don't have to eat half a portion of food. You don't have to order a meal at a restaurant and take half of it home in a doggy bag and eat it for lunch the next day. If you eat low calorie dense foods, you full meals, you go to bed with a full stomach, and you can wake up in the morning and you can feel satisfied when you leave the toilet. So I'm going to end on that one today. You guys all have a wonderful day. I will be back on tomorrow.